Minai Earthenware was overglazed polychrome colors. The earthenware I'm analyzing is a Minai ware with overglazed polychrome colors produced during the 12th century Persia, which is modern-day Iran. Now kept at the Minneapolis Institute of Art, it is exhibited to the general public under Chinese, South, and Southeast Asian Art Gallery. With a dimension of about 9 by 22 centimeters, this Minai ware is an example of art from the Seljuq period that combines Islamic art with other Asian culture and influences, creating a unique style not found in any other Islamic time periods. This earthenware openly depicts figures, animals, and plants, irrespective of the Islamic religious taboo, to avoid figural and iconic depictions, which is typical of 12th century Seljuk ceramics. Contextually, the Seljuks were non-Muslims from Central and East Asia who quickly assimilated into the Islamic influences after conquering the Iranians around the 12th century. As a result, during the Seljuk period, figural depiction has become mainstream and popular as a unique art form. The silhouette effect technique in particular brings out the figures depicted, in which decorations are directly applied to the black slip and then glazed afterwards. Even though the figural images depicted in this period were usually inspired by the heroes from the Iranian epic poems, this Minai ware depicts the scene of a seated king and his female court in an imaginative and highly adorned space. At the inner center of the play, the king is accompanied by 4 females serving him from the sides as well as from behind. At the side rim of the Minai ware, there are 8 female entertainers depicted as seated with their own musical instruments, with a tree between each of them. This earthenware is highly decorative, as typical of Minai wares, which is a local invention specific to Kashan area, and was considered the finest earthenware among the medieval times, and widely traded throughout Central Asia, Iran, Syria, and Egypt around the 1180s. As explained by Oliver Watson, a professor at the University of Oxford, the special Minai technique overglazes the enamel where colors are fixed on top of the glaze in a second firing, resulting in a uniquely colorful and glazed appearance. No matter it's on the human figures or at the background, patterns of vines and color stripes are richly adopted. In the scene depicting the seated king, we see the artist paid great attention to adorn the figure's clothing using patterns of vines and stripes of different colors. But interestingly, even though Minai wares feature elaborate and detailed paintings, the figures being depicted have rather generic and similar facial features. In a way, the artist focuses attention on the decorative nature of the adornments rather than elaborating on each unique individuality of the figures themselves. For instance, the king's striped clothing pattern is just the same as some other maids in the court, instead of anything unique and special to his own status. The patterns hence function to assimilate individuality into the general aesthetic and decorative purpose. The background of the scene also isn't set in any recognizable location, but rather an imaginary space fully adorned with birds, flowers, and trees, which likely represent a setting in the nature or in a garden. The Arabic calligraphy at the top of the side rim is also highly decorative. It is a Kufic script in an elongated style, painted in black on top of a light red vine underneath it, creating an intertwined, busy, yet balanced background. Moreover, this earthenware exhibits Chinese and East Asian artistic influences. The distinct turquoise and white colors we see on this dish are very typical color choices for Minai ware. as artisans of the time were eager to imitate the prestigious Chinese Tang Dynasty blue and white porcelain, which have been imported from the Silk Road and circulated all around the Middle East since the 9th century. Apart from the colors, the figures depicted in this Minaiware exhibits features such as thin eyebrows, thin elongated eyes, flat noses, small mouth, all of which are non-typical of Seljuk or Turkish facial features, but rather that of Central or East Asian. Moreover, the aesthetics for the human body in Tang Dynasty in China during the time favors plump and rounded body shapes, which are often reflected in Chinese art of that period. The stylistic depiction of the seated king figure and his court also displays such tendency, even though the king's puffy trousers and hat suggest a Seljuk dress code, creating an ambivalent figural depiction with influences from East and Central Asia. While we can clearly see that Seljuk art incorporates influences from various cultural and artistic backgrounds, Glenna Barlow, the manager of education at the Columbia Museum of Art, also points out that the Seljuks of Iran were great supporters of education and the arts, and are recognized for weaving together Persian, Islamic, and Central Asian Turkic elements. Although in the 12th century, the Seljuk Empire has shrunk since its first expansion and is limited to the Anatolia area, and has become an ally to the Byzantine Empire, it still has vastly diverse population of different cultural and religious backgrounds, including Christians, Armenians, Iranian Muslims, Buddhists, etc. Under the Seljuk Sultanate, Iran enjoyed a period of material and cultural prosperity, and the ingenuity in architecture and the arts during this period had a notable impact on later artistic developments.